I've always been very energetic, whether it be running through my local forest as a kid or running through my local forest now, but faster, because of strong legs. My obsession with speed hasn't dwindled one bit. Should be obvious based on some of the content I upload, really. So when a game that is based around fluid movement comes out, you can bet your bottom dollar I'm gonna play it thoroughly. Such was the case with the original Mirror's Edge. There's not much to be said about that brilliant game that hasn't already been discussed ad nauseum. It's damn near perfect. Naturally, when the sequel was announced then, everybody was beyond excited, and then it just sort of fell to the wayside. A footnote, get it? Foot, because running. A footnote in history. Well, not if I have anything to say about it. This is why you should replay Mirror's Edge Catalyst. Now, this isn't a review. It's more of an exercise in positivity. I'm going to try and show you why this game deserves a second look. Or first look, if you've never touched it. That means I'm not going to focus too much on the negatives, but rather put as much of a spotlight as possible on the reasons to play it. And in my mind, there are two major ones. The first one being the world of the game, both level design and aesthetic-wise, and the second being, obviously, the gameplay. Let's start with the world building. Catalyst's world is packed with good ideas. Some are even executed well. Come on, I said positivity, doesn't mean I'm not allowed to crack jokes. Seriously though, it has a lot going for it. It is truly gorgeous, after some graphical tweaking that is. It retains the stark, clean visual style of the original, while adding a whole bunch of environmental diversity. Alongside the iconic rooftops the series is known for, you'll explore a sewer level that is not complete garbage, for a change, a construction site, and a high-class residential area, the denizens of which are way too lax about home security in a world where parkour vagabonds are a thing. And that's not even mentioning the main missions, which, once you get past the tutorials, are mostly awesome. There are some hiccups here and there, mostly having to do with the objective display system bugging out, but once you get going and you actually know where you're headed, it is incredible. The jumbled mess of a plot actually works in favor of the level variety. You'll go from scaling a pharmaceutical company, to frantically sprinting through an unfinished skyscraper, to infiltrating an underground prison. Fun fact, that sentence can be copy-pasted verbatim into a Metal Gear Solid video, and no one will bat an eye. Point being, Catalyst isn't short on cool locations, both in the open world and in the missions themselves. That carries over to the side missions as well. Alongside actual side quests, of which I would highly recommend the grid node ones, there's an incredible amount of side content that all takes advantage of the intricately designed areas quite well. You will naturally learn where everything is if you play long enough, and the game counts on that. Most if not all of the side content relies on your knowledge of the environment, specifically the fastest route from point A to point B. You can lose hours in shaving milliseconds off your timed runs and doing delivery missions. It is therapeutic in nature. You enter a trance-like state where your reflexes due to driving, and your memory of the level layout is the only thing on your mind. I never really deleted Catalyst for that reason alone. If that is not a testament to the quality of the level design, I don't know what is. Catalyst is no slouch in the lore department either. That is, if you're willing to work for it. During the course of the game, you can collect documents, which give insight into the world of the game that is never really exposited upon in cutscenes. And I know that can be a turnoff for some people, me included. Putting vital story beats in obtuse side literature does not a good story make. But then again, we're not talking about the story. We're talking about the world. And what a world it is. The collectible documents and additional information reveal a wide breadth of movers and shakers, the rise and fall of nations, and a dash of political intrigue. Truthfully, I'm a sucker for post-apocalyptic societies and pristine dystopias, so this might just be my own horrible point of view, but I thoroughly enjoy the goings-on behind the scenes of Mirror's Edge Catalyst. If you're not willing to hunt down the documents, aka if you're sane, EA have, for once, given you access to them for free. In the description of this video, you will find a link to the story page of the game's site. I recommend you read through it before you play, as it basically contains all the info you'd get by hunting down the documents in the game. It's exhaustive and incredibly interesting. Makes one cold out hope that they will take all that lore and explore it in another game. Fingers crossed on that one. Now that it's clear that Catalyst World is an interesting place to be in, let's take a look how you move through it. There is pretty much nothing out there like Mirror's Edge. The closest approximate in my mind is Dying Light, though it's nowhere near as pure when it comes to movement. Now, when I started recording for this video, I was at the end game. I had everything unlocked, and while there is a mission replay feature, it doesn't really give you the full story experience, inconsequential as that story might be in hindsight. So I started a new game to see whether it takes a while for the game to, quote-unquote, feel right. What I found is that Catalyst starts fast and gets even faster. Faith controls well right off the bat, and the upgrades you get expand her repertoire to enable you to move like wind through the obstacles in your path, provided you're good enough. For the best experience, I recommend getting the switch places and positional advantage skills from the combat skill tree in order to circumvent most of the frustration of the combat, and then go all in on the movement skill tree. The faster you get those skills, the faster you can start doing time trials, for example. Remember how I mentioned a plethora of side content? Well, said side content is best done when you have most of your movement skills unlocked. And no matter what it is, be it a time trial, delivery mission, or a diversion mission, the elation you feel at completing those correctly is simply glorious. Also vital to the enjoyment is never setting render vision to anything but full, unless you want to go on a night run from one end of the City of Glass to the other. Then I completely understand. Pro tips and tricks from your boy aside, Mirror's Edge understands what makes a game enjoyable to play. It's why I can forgive the shortcomings of the story and the clunkiness of the combat. Because at its core, Catalyst has a rock-solid foundation, an incredibly mechanically solid core gameplay idea that is executed fantastically. It's why I kept going back to it even after I hit all the clips I needed for this video. I spent an additional 5 to 7 hours in the game even after I was done recording. Just exploring, doing time trials, perfecting my craft. And I hope you feel what I felt when I was running at full speed in the starting area. The game rewarding my skillful play with a slight visual boost to color saturation and a tinge more complexity in the soundtrack. At that moment, I remembered why I think that this game has it. That intangible that just clicks in your mind and makes you realize this is one of those experiences that make being into this stupid hobby of ours totally worth it. As I said at the beginning of this video, this is an exercise in positivity. I fully realize there are many shortcomings to this game, and I know they can potentially turn some people off. But I hope that what I said was convincing enough to make you give this game a try. During his Final Fantasy XV video, the most interesting and well-spoken man in the world, SkillUp, said the following.
Final Fantasy XV is a total mess of a game, but if you're willing to accept its weaknesses, as many others have, and cling to its strengths, and have the patience to sit through all of the different pieces that comprise the experience, there's a quality to it that will eventually melt your heart.
It was that sentence that made me want to do this in the first place. Yes, Mirror's Edge Catalyst might initially seem like it's all over the place, but stick with it, maybe scratch beneath the surface, and you'll discover a game unlike any other. And after you finish it, one day you'll come home from an exhausting day, and remember that tranquil feeling you got from jumping the gap between two rooftops. That state of absolute focus that makes the world just fade away. And you'll hopefully boot it up again. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this second foray into video essays from me. If you're curious what the first one was, here it is, in all of its short-form glory. These videos take a decent amount of time to make, but I thoroughly enjoy doing them. I have a few more games in mind that deserve this treatment, and I plan on starting one of them in the coming week, so stick around. It'll be a royal treat, I promise you. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.